The Roman Empire was one of the most powerful and influential empires in world history, spanning over 500 years and at its peak, encompassing much of Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. Its rise to power was marked by military conquests, political maneuvering, and the development of a sophisticated legal and administrative system. However, despite its many achievements, the Roman Empire eventually fell into decline and disintegrated. In this two-part video, we will explore the factors that contributed to the fall of the Roman Empire. One of the major factors that led to the decline of the Roman Empire was political instability and corruption. In the later stages of the empire, there were numerous instances of incompetent and corrupt leaders who prioritized their own interests over the well-being of the state. Key figures like Nero, Caligula, and Commodus are infamous for their excesses, cruelty, and mismanagement of the empire. Examples of political corruption and incompetence include emperors who spent exorbitant amounts on lavish palaces, festivals, and monuments, while neglecting basic public services like infrastructure and healthcare. One of the major factors that contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire was political instability and corruption. In the later years of the empire, there were a number of emperors who were incompetent or corrupt, including Nero, Caligula, and Commodus. Nero, for example, was infamous for his tyrannical rule and his persecution of Christians. He is said to have set fire to Rome in 64 AD, possibly in order to clear space for a new palace, and then blamed the Christians for the blaze. He also executed his own mother and other members of his family. Caligula, another infamous emperor, was known for his extravagance and cruelty. He is said to have appointed his horse as a consul and to have demanded that he be worshipped as a god. He also had a reputation for sadism and sexual deviancy. Commodus, the son of Marcus Aurelius, is often cited as one of the worst emperors in Roman history. He was notorious for his extravagance and his love of gladiatorial games. He also spent much of his time engaging in debauchery and neglecting his duties as emperor. These examples are just a few of the many instances of political corruption and incompetence that plagued the later Roman Empire. Economic troubles. The Roman Empire also faced significant economic challenges in its later years. Inflation, taxation, and the debasement of currency all contributed to economic decline. The government's constant need for revenue to fund its military conquests and political ambitions led to high taxes, which in turn caused inflation and a decline in the value of currency. The debasement of currency, in which coins were gradually made with less and less valuable metals, further eroded trust in the financial system. Examples of economic decline include rampant poverty, food shortages, and a growing wealth gap between the rich and poor. Another major factor that contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire was economic troubles. Inflation, taxation, and the debasement of currency were among the key factors that led to economic decline. Inflation was a major problem in the empire, with the value of money constantly decreasing due to an oversupply of currency. This was partly due to the vast amount of silver and gold that was being mined in the empire, which led to a devaluation of these precious metals. Taxation was also a major issue, with the burden falling disproportionately on the poor and the middle class. This led to widespread resentment and a decline in productivity, as people became disillusioned with the empire's ability to provide for their needs. Finally, the debasement of currency was a major problem in the later years of the empire. Emperors began to reduce the amount of silver in coins in order to stretch their resources further, which led to a further devaluation of currency and a decline in economic stability. These economic troubles had a significant impact on the empire, contributing to a decline in trade and productivity, and ultimately weakening the empire's ability to defend itself against external threats. The military decline of the Roman Empire was another major factor in its collapse. The empire faced increasing threats from barbarian invasions, internal conflict, and a lack of discipline in its armies. The Roman military was once a formidable force, but by the 4th and 5th centuries, it was weakened by a lack of funding, poor leadership, and declining morale. The Visigothic sack of Rome in 410 AD was a major blow to the empire and a sign of its military weaknesses. Examples of military defeats and weaknesses include the loss of key territories, like Britain and Gaul, to invading barbarians. Internal conflict was also a major factor in the military decline of the Roman Empire. Emperors were frequently assassinated or overthrown by ambitious generals, leading to instability and uncertainty in the military chain of command. The Praetorian Guard, the elite unit tasked with protecting the emperor, became a particularly corrupt and powerful force, often manipulating the selection of emperors to suit their own interests. The lack of discipline among soldiers was another major contributor to the military decline of the Roman Empire. Many soldiers became more interested in their own personal gain than in serving the empire, engaging in looting, pillaging, and other forms of misconduct. This lack of discipline made it increasingly difficult for the Roman military to function effectively. Social and cultural decay. Social and cultural decay was also a contributing factor to the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Declining morals, loss of civic values, and the rise of Christianity all played a role. In the later stages of the empire, there was a growing sense of apathy and decadence among the elite, who indulged in excesses like gladiator games, lavish banquets, and orgies. This cultural decline also manifested in the loss of civic values, as citizens became less engaged in public affairs and more focused on their own individual interests. The rise of Christianity, which challenged the traditional Roman religion and authority, also contributed to the empire's decline. The decline of civic values was evident in the declining levels of civic engagement and participation in public life. As the empire grew larger and more complex, citizens became increasingly disconnected from the affairs of state, leading to a decline in the sense of community and shared purpose that had once held the empire together. In addition, the rise of Christianity had a profound impact on Roman society and culture. Many Romans converted to Christianity, leading to a decline in the traditional polytheistic religion of the empire. This created tension and conflict between Christians and traditionalists, leading to further social and cultural decay. The fall of Rome. The fall of Rome was not a single event, but rather a gradual process that spanned several decades. The Visigothic sack of Rome in 410 AD is often seen as a symbolic turning point, but the empire continued to exist for another century in the East. Ultimately, the collapse of the Western Roman Empire was the result of a combination of factors, including political instability, economic decline, military weakness, and social and cultural decay. The fall of Rome had far-reaching consequences for Western civilization, marking the beginning of the Dark Ages and the end of the classical world. In conclusion, the fall of Rome was a complex and multifaceted event that was driven by a range of factors. Political instability, economic troubles, military decline, and social and cultural decay all played a role in the empire's collapse. While the fall of Rome marked the end of an era, it also paved the way for a new era of European history. The lessons of the fall of Rome continue to be studied and debated by historians and scholars today.